Okay, so everyone who's here, just general etiquette, if you could turn your cameras and microphones off. If you have a question, I guess, just, or a comment or whatever, because Casper's gonna be doing a reading for us, just leave it in the comments and then we can have a little Q&A after. So basically, this is the second installment, you could say, of our student-led art talks. It's organized by a small group of photography students at Camberwell. So today, Caspar Heinemann will be doing a little reading for us. And just as a little introduction, I guess you could say. So Caspar Heinemann is an artist and writer researching and exploring themes such as occultism, ecopoetics, queer theory, transhumanism, and mysticism, and his writing and artistic practices. His solo exhibitions have been presented at Outpost Gallery, Norwich, Almanac in London, and Kevin Space, Vienna. Recent group exhibitions have been held at George Carl, Fine Arts Vienna, the ICA in London, Cabinet London, and PDX Contemporary Portland. He participated in the 2019 Berghain Assembly and has recently read at Camden Arts Centre, Sussex Poetry Festival, and the Tate Modern. His first poetry collection, Novelty Theory, was published in 2019 by the 87 Press. So yeah, thank you for coming. And just begin whenever you want. I don't know if you want to do a short intro or just start reading or whatever.
Cool. Hi. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks everyone for turning up. I actually have no idea if this is compulsory for you, but thanks either way. And yeah, I'm just going to read a couple of poems from Novelty Theory, my book, which I don't know if you can see. Yeah, that works. And then maybe we can talk a bit afterwards. I probably won't read for that long because I don't know about you, but I get quite intense Zoom fatigue listening to people read for too long. So yeah. Okay. This is called Semi-Homemade, which is a kind of obscure American cookery show reference, but semi-homemade. I'm no less real than Australia. And to be actual total, what are the symptoms of appendix? Sort out this state of slapdash microcosm, which is merely all-knowing but unsure how to successively acknowledge the uninterrupted stream of symptoms upon symptoms limping up mud in the throat, this escalating lifestyle. We bombard the significant with our bloody sweat fears, ramparts of the farmer's market, nevertheless arguable the extent to which a white male body is a body in the traditional sense. A friendly quasi-body explains wealth. Management companies already own the land that will be the coast. Feeling like pickled banded together bright tangerine musk-built polis, city of the antiquity, romantic beaming, food bank, unnecessary mortality rates, no fake farm names to stave off competition from farms in their intrinsically inferior reality. This is our last big fun rocket ship century. New Zealand, Silicon Valley, apocalypse bunker prep century. Not a fucking harvest festival. Keep up. Sheep off the big table. I plait my hair with cabbage leaves, lean against cracked stones. The good thing about the cockroach team is even if you lose, you win in the long sport. This one is called I Like Scaffolding as much as the next attempt to create order.
Oh, Caspar, one sec. I don't know if anyone else, but for some reason your audio just cut out.
Can you hear me now?
Can anyone else hear him? Oh, you can hear it. Okay.
Okay. Is this all right?
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, it might have been a weird connection thing for a second. Okay, yeah, I like scaffolding as much as the next attempt to create order. What are all those things that have apparently happened somewhere? The repetitive strain injuries of history. To demonstrate on a personal and political level, can someone or you show me the way to my prehistoric bones? I am yet somehow enough full of beer and your carpal bones on the back of some of my skull tender in public that hate crime is an almost imperceptible shimmer on the horizon of this U-Bahn station. I estimate that feeling is at least a vertebrae or purple clavicle, so I give thanks to the tongue of the dawn choir. Chaotic good burns the streets, chaotic neutral stains the sheets. It's not reverent, it's a feeling refracted, fuck shit up, politic of snuck, dialectical glamour, sideways glimmers at the sideways, glances, shiny plastic chandelier branches. Fuck heterosexuality's matte gloss, municipal pheromones cut with talc. Here, everything is tilted tit for gilded tat. Decorate the use away, etch, sweat, and melt into the crisis of feeling's brittle solution. A minor gâteau. I stopped being afraid of aviation catastrophe and now use my time in the air to jump at the sun, assess my place on the Beck suicide ideation scale, address the state of my nation's blood circulation. My praxis is camp hatred, i.e., I do not want to make anything that would not make people think I would not work with the Zabludovich. I swear, and it's the funnest option. The real champagne is always claiming ecstatic agency in this vacuum that we're all just trying to sleep sitting up in, a comfy yet stylish eye mask. None work with left pleasure. The chronic mental health thing, which affects insert multiple objects, is like a letter from the state, apparently not who I am, which is lucky but discouraging journey work. Back to the drawing board to scrub the cave wall clean of fortune's misplaced fire again. Diaphragm night with the charcoal from my burnt down spare rib. But I am partially what I am, among other fallacies. Contemporary artist on a budget flight between European countries, 20-something pragma-gendered animal, sad about accidents of spilt hormones, an adrenaline junkyard, chemical contamination, communist poet doubting the politics of that distinctly worn opulence, but still blaming the moon. I avoid anything that scares me out in the great unwild, so I can subject myself to it under laboratory conditions, bandage the fag, ash under my skin on my own terms. Science can be fun and holy blood fiction, experimental collectivized endorphins. It's funny how even these small Baroque unpleasures could be ripped away, used against me like my funny use of funny, queer, impending harsh irony, and nothing taken for granted under current climate. Conditional lenses fucked against the stained glass of the public sphere give me irreverence or give me death, or both, whatever. I don't care which, I just really care for obnoxious joy, hyacinth dainty by the hearth. Sometimes I'm asked who the work is for, and the answer it is for nobody having to work. But some days, like tonight, the answer is just if you know, you don't have to lie to me. I know you're telling the truth. Subterfuge evades everything these days via the opacity of everything all at once, sober, libations to this silly thing I call a self, flitting, disposable during the light touch approach to life, found after declining demented hops and the strobe of public life, repeatedly in favour of imaginary honeysuckle, woven a sunshade against the indigestion of iridescent light fixtures. I have no soluble solution. I'm just learning to slice the garlic thinner with age. Give my real name to the state as my monastic name, lying to be true to save my soul's head. The soul's soul has no sense of bureaucracy and therefore is in no danger. I am pure dark light and gently fried rainbow chard, sesame oil, warm almond milk, accepting the risk that articulation is the problem, but I love it. So here's a model I built of it collapsing. Some sub-adequate recovery process, leaked formula. The escape plan looks impossible in this font, so I'm planning to rewrite it in perfect cursive, in gilded invisible ink. Then I will burn it to cook the best roast potatoes. See, let it never be said, I disregard materiality, the price of oil, shoulders, or multiple fingers. I fill the keyboard with all my leftover skin shit, same as the next hoarder of sentient excess. Some just trade it all in for gold. Just like that, all gone. In the blink of an eye, the world vanishes and reappears and vanishes and reappears so many times every minute. And yet I'm still so scared every single time. Don't fucking stop. Okay, I think I'm probably not going to read any more. So if anyone has any questions in the chat, we can talk.
Thank you. That was great. Yeah, like you said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put your mic on or your camera on, put it in the chat, all that jazz. We have plenty of time to have more of like a conversation, I guess, if that makes any sense. I have a question, I guess. It's more of it's not necessarily a question, I guess. You mentioned there's this phrase, my praxis is camp hatred. Mm-hmm. It's just great. It's not a question, just want to, I guess, like pick your brain on like what that means and your opinions, I guess, on camp aesthetics and what it serves for the queer community and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that there's something, so it's like immediately kind of squished up against this line about not working with the Zabludovich. And I was thinking about that a lot in terms of the politics of how people conduct themselves in the art world, and the relationship of that to aesthetics and the aesthetics of the work. And so I was joking about it at the time that I wrote that, where it was like the most effective way for people to kind of encourage, I guess, more like ethical working decisions in the art world is to be like, oh, like working with the Zabludovich is just like really tacky, like it's not a good look at this point. And so I kind of, which I do think is true, but the ways that these kind of like gossipy or irreverent modes of critique can contain something that's like actually really politically vital is something that I'm interested in. And then I don't know, it's funny because I feel like since I wrote that, I maybe wouldn't identify so much with the word hatred, but I think that maybe like camp hatred, I don't know, a friend was joking about how being either like I love it or I hate it to everything is like a very gay way of talking, and I definitely do it all the time. And so it's like when I hate something, it's like not actual hatred necessarily, but what, yeah, again, I guess it's this way of like being kind of critical of something in a way that potentially like slips under the radar because it seems so kind of unserious in its sentiments.
Unless someone else jumps in, I'm honestly just gonna like barrage you with shit. My apologies. This is more straightforward question, I guess. Just was wondering about your actual writing process, and when you sit down to write, if it even is that sitting down to write, do you know what you're writing about when you begin, or is it just like, you know, vomiting on the page or whatever?
Yeah, it really varies and has kind of evolved over time. I definitely don't, whenever I say that a poem is about something, it always feels faintly ridiculous. And whether it's a poem or essay, or if I'm making an artwork, I feel like I kind of have this internal sense of it being about something that I can't put into words. And then the whole process is kind of about trying to bridge that gap, which I think is kind of inherently impossible to bridge. So it just feels like kind of chipping away at that.